All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Boards of Canada album here, Inferno. Yeah, this is going to be my first Boards of Canada album. I have been sent in songs from them. This is not my first time listening to the band, but I have yet to actually listen to a full project from them, and I thought, why not give their new album a try? This came out literally today as I'm recording this. It's 18 tracks, an hour and 10, and also this is being recorded on a new Music Friday stream. We do these every week, if not every other week, listening to new releases. They aren't always on Friday. Sometimes I have to do them on a different day. But yeah, I'm trying to get through as many new albums this year as possible. So I've started doing these. So stop in if you want to listen to some new music on these streams. No one sent me GeoGaddy. No, this is going to be my first time listening to them in terms of a full album. I've heard songs here and there. I've been sent in tracks on stream. And I do, if this video does well, I'm going to do GeoGaddy as just a recorded video. It won't even need to be a paid request. This is going to be like an uncut reaction. I don't typically do uncut reactions, but I think for an album like this, it could be fun to do it just uncut, getting to see how I digest these tracks as a whole. And yeah, with that being said, I think I can just get straight into this. Yeah, it's got an 86 on Album of the Year. People are eating this album's cock. It's got 1,000 ratings as well. It's looking like that 86 is probably going to stick. Yeah, let's do this. Track 1, Introit. It's going to be creepy electronic. The genres listed here are downtempo, IDM, hauntology, ambient, neo-psychedelia, progressive electronic, and synthwave. Did Tidal fuck up that transition, or was that the album? Tidal fucked it up, unlucky. No rating on that opener. You're ready to suck the sound stick all over again? Oh, there's lyrics in this shit. You guys... Stop it with the temporary secretary references, goddammit.
I'm intellect. I am the truth, the extension, the question of reality. Consciousness. I ultimate resonance. Spirit and the soul that be conscious, transcendent source. Seek of consciousness, power. This incense religion of the modern world. A scientific view of nature. Synchronicity. Consciousness as operational effect. Cause and effect.
Okay, chat, I am going to have to leave part of the way in the album. I have something that I need to go do quick. Nice, super subtle transition there. That did not feel like 5 minutes. That track fucking flew by. That, like, genuinely, I'm shocked that that was 5 minutes of runtime. That song literally felt like it was maybe 3 minutes. Just such an immersive soundscape that you are just immediately lowered into, and it doesn't let up for a single second. Yeah, that is just some S-tier ambient and electronic production right there, man. That shit was moody. It was eerie. The weird robot vocals made it feel so dodgy and off, like there was like a deeper hidden kind of thing underneath this. I am very impressed immediately. I'm incredibly impressed. That was a hell of a way to kick this shit off. I'm feeling like a low 9 on that as an opener. Yeah, 5 minutes of just beautiful, moody, atmospheric, very haunting electronic music, and I'm hoping the album can keep it up, man, because that was great. Hydrogen, Helium, Lithium, Leviathan. I mean, talking about being creepy immediately, it sounds like a fucking horror soundtrack here. Oh, okay. I've heard some songs, but this is my first full album of theirs. Ooh. I was planning on listening to Geo Gaddy first, and then I'm going to be honest, this release just kind of snuck up on me. But yeah, I'm going to listen to it at some point. If this video does well, I'll do it for a video. Switch forward in reverse Discog to Aphex Twin Discog. I've already heard enough bad albums, but I need to hear more. Albums are going to be videos. This one's going to be a video, and the Paul McCartney's going to be a video. And in terms of more upcoming releases, there's the Olivia Rodrigo, the Muse, the Strokes, the Quadeca album when that eventually drops. The Converge album next week, I'm going to probably do a video on. Yeah, this track is somehow even more of a step up from the previous song. That was absolutely fucking excellent. I like these subtle transitions as well. That one's like a high 9 for me. That track was so fucking eerie. Legitimately, there were multiple points in that track that felt actually uncomfortable to listen to. When that strange piano melody came in, matching it with the album cover, it feels like there's something about it that feels like a 70s horror film, you know? There's something about the music being paired with the imagery that feels like a 70s horror film. It's just disturbing, it's strange, it's esoteric as fuck, but it's kind of impossible not to be enamored by it. I am in love with this. Like, we're 2 full proper tracks into this so far, and I have to say this is, like, gripping as hell. Immediately. I'm loving this. This is great. I mean, I've already loved basically everything I've heard from Boards of Canada, but this is just so much more dodgy and like fucked than I'm used to from them. Like, I'm used to their stuff being very beautiful, having creepy elements at points, but I'm used to their stuff being much more like beautiful and ethereal. This is immediately very like grimy and nasty and kind of lived in, you know? Age of Capricorn up next. Synthwave influence makes you think of an 80s horror film? That's fair, actually, yeah. I'm not gonna like the 5th track. Why is that? Mabus comes from the prophecy of the 3rd Antichrist. Nostradamus wrote about it all. Okay. Limp. Shut the fuck up. Here, I've got the wiki up on Mabbas here. An alleged predecessor to the third Antichrist, or the Antichrist itself, according to Nostradamus in popular culture. Okay. Strings sound like another song. There's something a little familiar about these strings. Or just about the progression of this track in general.
I'm a sinner. All have sinned. You bore my sin. You shed your blood for me to cleanse me. I receive you and your shed blood for the remission of my sins. Come into my heart. Save me now. Help me to be ready for your return. In your name, I pray this. I'm a sinner. All have sinned. I'm a sinner.
Subcat Alpha.
All have sinned.
Interesting topic being explored there. Like a third Antichrist existing among us, you know? That's, honestly, if they're sticking to a horror theme, an Antichrist living among us is, a pretty fascinating one to explore. Now, I don't know the most about Nostradamus. Obviously, I know that astrology is kind of a big thing with him. So the fact that the track's called Age of Capricorn does very much allude to the fact that it's directly about him and kind of his predictions that he made and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that song is it's an incredibly effective way of bringing a little bit of like a religious theme into the album here. I really like the very abstract way that all of its ideas are being put across so far, though. This album is doing a great job at being incredibly varied in what it's exploring, but doing it in such intricate, very detailed and very subtle ways. I would give that track like a flat 9. Age of Capricorn might also be the setting in a few thousand years. What is the setting? Such a puzzling yet extremely captivating start to this project. Such wonderful soundscapes seeping with ominosity. That's not a word I see very often. Ominosity with the unsettling samples. Yeah, absolutely. Father and son. Oh. It might also be the setting. Okay. The Age of Capricorn. I thought like the setting was like a concept that you were... Okay, I'm so fucking dumb. That's me overthinking right there. My bad. Which I'm gonna move this over just so
I
it's,
love you, but I love the lower. Or I love any physical being. I think that's wonderful. But then why can't you bring that same feeling home? I really wish that I could do that.
No, I never did it. That was atypical.
What makes you think you can do it? Well, he's 7. A man's foes will be they of his own household. Well, I hardly believe that your own father or mother or brother or sister would be your enemy. You're gonna call him a liar? No, I'm not calling him a liar. Well, I can do all things through the Lord. He can't do it. You saw the way we lived and what we did. Do you believe? I really don't think so.
Let's see, I've lost track. Let me see, God.
Or that I love any physical being. I think that's wonderful. Well, he's 7. I love you, but I love the Lord. Or that I love any physical being. I think that's wonderful. Well, he's 7. Or that I love any physical being. I think that's wonderful. Well, he's 7.
there's so many different ways I can interpret that track. It could be like God listening in on a conversation about himself. It could be a conversation happening actively with God. It's so unnerving. Like, A, not knowing exactly what the song is, and B, the way that God is being presented on this track. It's like effectively very legitimately like creepy and again super unsettling. I think that this album is doing a great job at actually feeling legitimately horrific so far. Like, it's not outright describing anything super disturbing. It's not outright presenting any like insane concepts. It's just exploring, on these past two songs in particular, religion in a way that is just fucking weird. And it's making for a difficult listen, but one that is very intriguing and one that makes me feel like it's going to warrant multiple more listens to get the full context. Now, I did say I would have to go part of the way through the album. I'm going to have to do that now. I'm going to be gone for like 15 minutes, and then when I'm back, I am going to be continuing the album. So I'm going to stop the recording here. All right, 30 minutes later, I am back, and we are going to continue with the album. I didn't say the score for the previous track before I stopped recording. It's a high 8, and yeah, we continue. Next track, Somewhere Right Now in the Future. That was I know the video I played is so good that it made you lose perception of time. For any of you who are actually invested in that Queens of the Stone Age video and don't want to, go find the video to watch the end, my score for Villains of Circumstance was a 10. Quite the draining quality to the atmosphere on this track, yeah. There's something very contemplative and also reflective about this track. It feels like it's thinking about a better future that can be made whilst also reflecting on a very dire set of current circumstances. Where the previous two tracks have been speaking about like religion, this feels like a very internal struggle, maybe dealing with mental health, maybe succumbing to the world around you and kind of being in a position of feeling hopeless, but also having a slight awareness that things can get better. There's a little glimmer of hope in this song that I found to be quite lovely. I wish it was longer. 2.5 minutes for this piece does feel a little brief. It does feel like towards the end of the track, it's kind of just like, oh, it ended there. It felt like it could have kept going for an extra 30 seconds to a minute or so to give itself just a little bit of, I guess, extra resolution. But honestly, as is, I would still give that a solid 8. Good shit. My nose on the mic. I swear to God I've heard this. Was this a single? No. Is it a sample from something? I swear to God I've heard that before, like that little synth line. Other albums use tape for sound design and atmosphere. I see. Is that the case with this one too? I'm going to do that at some point anyway. Ooh, excellent transition. Yeah, that's the best track on the album up to this point, in my opinion. That was fucking amazing. Once that drop came in, I don't even know how I would describe that. Once that initial switch up around the halfway point came in, it was pure bliss. Absolute bliss. That track does maybe sacrifice a little bit of the eeriness in favor of beauty, more beauty that I'm kind of used to from what I've heard from Boards of Canada up to this point, but it still feels sonically and atmospherically in line enough with the rest of the album that I don't really care that one is slightly brought down a bit to elevate the other, because I think that track was legitimately breathtakingly stunning. I cannot believe how excellent of an electronic piece that was. That synth melody is absolutely just immediately completely immersive. I think that the drums on this track, the kind of padded sound that these kicks have, the way everything feels so light and tappy, is beautiful. Excellent like crafting of texture throughout this track. And also it's 5.5 minute runtime. Not 5.5 minutes, just a flat 5 minutes, my bad. It's 5 minute runtime is just, it allows this track to really fully properly spread its wings and feel like a like the most complete piece on the album so far. And that's not to say the other pieces have felt incomplete, but that feels like the most wholly fleshed out track we've gotten on the whole project. Easy 10 right there. The title also means hell in Indian religions. I see. Maybe that's what the chanting is then. Maybe it's like the sounds of like demons chanting in hell or something like that. Or maybe, oh, hold on, no. You said that it was, the Hindi sample translates to, "O Lord Krishna, O Lord Rama, please allow me to serve you." Maybe it's people being weary and afraid of hell, and it's like the sound of people doing their best to avoid it or something like that. Interesting. Again, excellent imagery on this album, man. Excellent imagery and some fantastic musical storytelling as well. I didn't say spread its cheeks. Jesus Christ. Axe and Magic up next. It's only a minute. I'm guessing this is probably going to be like an interlude piece. I'll probably just let this play into the next song. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I am neither. My birth name is Frankie. I do not go to Hollywood. It's Francine. Yeah, no rating on that. It's a nice little interlude piece, but it's so brief. It's clearly meant to be a transitional moment into Memory of Death here. No rating on that one. I thank you for being here, Space Ashes. Oh, Memory Death, not Memory of Death, my bad. So what you're telling me is this is literally a Caretaker reference? Not particularly. I'm not really big on him based on what I've heard. I wouldn't really have much to add to that discography in terms of like commentary. Another fantastic transition. Similar to was it Somewhere Right Now in the Future. I do maybe wish that track was expanded upon a little bit. It does feel like it leaves itself in a place where it feels like it was just a little too brief, like it could have again wrapped itself up in a way that didn't feel like it was just another transitional piece, because it does have a little bit of that feeling. But honestly, when the sound play there and the musical storytelling of like literally memories starting to fade and kind of losing a sense of self is kind of what I got from that. And it portrays it in a way that's that beautiful. I really don't mind too much. It's a solid to high 8 for me. The Word Becomes Flesh. I'm next. 5.5 minutes. Ah, this is the track that's in the back rooms. Okay. I have asked Caleb about watching that on Sunday. So the plan is Backrooms Sunday. And then maybe a review. I want to do a film review on the movie channel. I saw a thing earlier. I don't use Reddit, but I get notifications on the Radiohead subreddit. Apparently, Radiohead and Boards of Canada like influence each other back and forth a decent bit, particularly Boards of Canada being an influence on Kid A, and then Kid A being an influence on Boards of Canada for GeoGaddy. So that's pretty cool. I'm just saying that because I can feel some like Tom York solo in this. Maybe even some of like the more electronic stuff on Atoms for Peace, like a track like Ingenue or something like that. Yeah, it's mostly Aphex Twin for like that era of Radiohead, but yeah, apparently Tom York has also cited Boards of Canada as a bit of an influence too, which does definitely make sense for an album like Kid A, with how like desolate and cold that album is, and like finding moments of beauty in that. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Get Genius up. I want to know what's being said here. Someone said earlier in chat that it was just a credit song. My voice feels like it's about to give you a pace test. Translucent, the boys reference.
Some of the albumin becomes thickened and twisted as the egg passes down the oviduct. These rope-like strands, all the calais all the whole cells in position. The blastoderm at this stage consists of many cells produced by repeated cell divisions while the egg was still within the organism.
Yeah.
Cells move on both sides of the nephron and form an area called the Leviathan streak.
Yeah, nice to get a more like progressive electronic track here that kind of just has this one repeating idea that gets built on and built on and built on and built on as the track progresses here. That was one of the more captivating instrumentals we've gotten on the entire project up to this point, especially considering, again, it's given 5.5 minutes to fully let itself breathe, to fully flesh itself out and state what it needs to state. I see that track as kind of an apocalyptic piece and a commentary on AI. It's obviously, you have the human voice describing just, you know, the creation of life and how an egg develops into a person. It's talking about eyes being developed. The head of the embryo grows, the gut elongates rearward, stuff like that. It's talking about literally a fetus developing. And you have this robot voice, and I don't know what the robot voice is saying. Those like the robot speaking isn't here on Genius. I have no fucking idea what it's saying, but I think it's a commentary on how AI it is essentially in kind of an embryonic state, developing in the same way, and it feels very much like a looking forward type of song at a potential world where AI is just as sentient and more intelligent than we are. That's kind of what I get from this track. This is the first song that I don't fully understand, that I could be misinterpreting there, but just based on how the interaction between the human vocals and the robot vocals go and what the human vocals are saying, I'm gonna assume that that is what this track is about. I'd give that a solid 9. That was a pretty excellent and, again, a very eerie piece that feels incredibly relevant if my interpretation of it is right. It feels incredibly relevant. Into the Magic Land up next. I am really liking this album. I think this is just a super immersive, pretty beautiful crop of tracks so far. Can't believe we're over halfway through as well. I know I took a break midway through the album, but it doesn't feel like I've listened to however long, like 35, 40 minutes worth of music already, you know? How's it going, Rodoma? I want to listen to more Phil Elverum stuff. The Glow Part 2 and A Crow Looked at Me are among my favorite albums of all time. And then Night Palace is incredible, one of the best albums of 2024. So I need to listen to more Phil Elverum stuff. Ooh. That's probably the next Phil Elverum project I'd want to listen to, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The crossing over of some actual live instrumentation is really nice here. I did know that. I did know that. I got sent in a clipping track the other day, and I literally said it was a boys reference. And David Diggs, one of the best parts of season 5 of The Boys, to be honest. I wish he was in the show more. I wish they introduced him sooner, because that's such a fun performance. Yeah, I think that the bringing over of some live instrumentation here is fucking incredible. I think that the way that they work that in and still make it feel very consistent with the rest of the album that has obviously been super electronic and even like quite ambient. Bringing in some live instrumentation here is a nice way to add a bit of variety to this. This track to me reads as kind of drowning your sorrows in addiction, be it drugs, be it alcoholism, be it just a form of escapism, even like something like virtual reality or something like that. Just the underlying very somber tone of this track being mixed with some of these synthetic elements, being mixed with some of the like more background guitars, like which provide this feeling of respite, which provide this feeling of actual genuine peace. It reminds me of Samson from the Bone Temple, chat. It reminds me of Samson from the Bone Temple. When Dr. Kelson gives him drugs and he feels at peace, but there's still a monster underneath that, you know? Listen, any opportunity I get to work in a reference to that film, I'm going to take. Another solid 9 on this. Yeah, the way it portrays just numbing yourself is really quite beautiful here. Again, another track that feels like it maybe doesn't quite have the eerie factor of some of the others. It still does a little bit, but not to the same degree as some of the earlier tracks. But I think it's worth it to maybe let that go to the side for the sake of having a track that speaks even more volumes than it would if we were forcing this to be super eerie, you know? Yeah, I'm really loving the way that they're exploring the different themes on this album. The musical storytelling is fucking brilliant. Blood in the Labyrinth up next. Maybe not a full discography dive, but I gotta do the Fragile soon. I said I was gonna do that fucking forever ago, and I still haven't gotten around to it. But the Fragile is on the list of albums that I want to do. Inferno is 1 decimal away from getting a critic must here. It is. That's true. If this band was called Boards of Swindon, I'd have given every track a 0. True. I just checked the comments on the short I put. Whoa. Check the comments on the short I posted earlier. Glad to see everyone is agreeing that shit's ass. They're called Buds of Canada, but they're Scottish. I know. Ultimate LARP. What instrument is that? I know it's an Eastern instrument. Is it a balalaika? Or is it a sitar? It's something like that. A sitar, okay. fun to see him work in some Eastern influence. Why are they copying Gorillaz? I know. I knew these guys were washed. I thought it isn't trying to be too flashy or anything. It's got you maintain on this vibe and sticking to that easy wave even when with the added guitars and acoustic. Absolutely. Like even like the bursts of color on this track still feel restrained enough to keep it in that moody territory that the rest of the album has been sat in. Like this is one of the most expressive songs on the entire album, but it doesn't feel like it's straying too far from the simplicity and darkness that has been presented up to this point. I have no idea. I don't remember what it sounds like. Oh, a fade out. Interesting. Okay. That very sudden transition was really fucking cool. That was really fucking cool. Yeah. I'm feeling a high 9 on that one. That was pretty fucking peak indeed. Yeah, I adore that they're working in some Eastern influence here, bringing in the sitar. And I like the track that has the Eastern influence is the most expressive up to this point, but it doesn't go too overboard. It still stays within the very moody, simplistic tone and atmosphere that we've been presented throughout the rest of the album. It doesn't go too overboard. It just has these little tiny explosive moments to give it little bursts of color, and that's all it needs to stand out in this track list. That was fucking excellent, dude. I don't necessarily know what the song means. It's the first track that I can't really say I fully understand what it's meant to say, but when it's as beautiful as it is, I couldn't give less of a fuck, if I'm being honest. Next track, Deep Time. Is this an album of the year contender so far? Yeah. This is the song the White House used in their post. Boo. The only positive that comes out of the White House using artist songs in their posts is that it gives the artist an excuse to directly shit on them. Like, I think it was a Taylor Swift song that they used and she told them not to use it. There was a Radiohead song. I'm guessing Boards of Canada will likely do the same. But Boards of Canada are woke. So are most of the artists that the White House chooses to use. Oh, they posted this a few weeks ago on their YouTube. It was titled Tape Number 5. Did I listen to that on stream? I didn't. Okay. This bit feels a little Godspeed influence. I can see some Godspeed in this. In that acoustic guitar melody, the way the electronics are very subtly providing some heaviness in the background, the light percussion, that feels very Godspeed. Is that Hans Zimmer on the track? God, that'd be so fucking fire. Was it a harp? I think there was... It might have been a harp. What's that instrument that's like laid flat and it's all the strings and you like hit the strings? What's that instrument called? It sounded like it might have been that. Excellent transition. I feel bad for interrupting these transitions. This album's going to need a full unbroken listen on its own so I can really feel what the complete flow is, where I'm not doing reaction slop. Yeah, Deep Time, a beautiful fucking ambient track. Genuinely, I would give that a 10. That was breathtaking, man. That is them flexing their muscles on how they can take absolute utter simplicity and turn it into something that feels like one of the largest moments on the entire album. The Godspeed-esque instrumental that it goes into in the back half, the way these synths feel like waves coming in, but they feel so beautifully layered. Like, again, the relationship with the high end and the low end on this track is fucking marvelous, dude. Absolutely marvelous. I cannot believe that, like, on an album that has had Eastern influences, that has had, like, progressive electronic tracks, my second favorite song on the whole album so far is just a straight-up ambient piece. That was fucking amazing. That was so good. All Reason Departs.
It was a magical operation of maximum importance.
These unks have still got it. How long have Boards of Canada been going now? Since it was 1996 their debut, right? Yeah, 96. So these guys are in their 50s. Unks indeed.
The Great War must be fought. This holy sacrifice is the critical point of the world ceremony of the crowned and conquering child.
Getting Genius up again so I can read along with what's being said here. The speech is taken from Aleister Crowley's Magic 4, the passage found within Part 3, Magic in Theory and Practice, under Chapter 12 of the Bloody Sacrifice and Matters Cognate. Okay. That's not synth, what the hell is that? It sounded to me like it maybe a steel pan or a hand pan, recorded in a way that very specifically doesn't have much attack, it's just kind of the resonance. I might be wrong about that, though. But the tone felt very steel pan or hand pan. But yeah, interesting to see him working in some Eastern influence again in this very percussive instrumental. That was super cool. Sounds good regardless, indeed. Oh, missed some messages from Caleb. No, we're going to be getting into that after this, the McCartney project. Ooh. Very strange, like, futuristic synth bass there. I didn't really feel like turning it into a video. I'm gonna listen to the Quadeca after this though, and that'll be a video. Has Gramps still got it? Yeah, it's gonna be a busy night for me. I'm gonna be getting this edited, which won't take much. I'm only gonna be editing the bits of me talking. I'm gonna get the Quadeca single edited, get that uploaded probably tonight, get this uploaded tomorrow, and get the McCartney uploaded Sunday. So I've got a busy weekend ahead of me because I'm also going out tomorrow to a market with Caleb, then I'm going swimming and to the cinema on Sunday with Caleb. I have got a packed weekend. Oh, yeah. These synths are slowly becoming more and more like, I don't know, murky and dingy. Like how the track loses all its layering as it goes on, expresses how we all lose sense when we die. Oh, all reason departs. Okay, no, I do see that. The song starts off in almost like an infantile state, then it reaches its peak around like the 1.5, 2 minute mark, and then it slowly loses itself from there. It could be seen as an entire life cycle. Interesting. Exactly, this motherfucker's a genius. It's a big highlight of the album for you. Absolutely. We got... Assuming it doesn't fuck it up in the final 20 seconds here, which it won't. Band loses all reason and still slaps. Very slow, very quiet fade out. And it leaves you hanging with 10 seconds of silence. That's another 10. That's back-to-back 10s on this album, dude. Holy shit. That's maybe the best. It's like very, very close between that and Naraka for the best on the album. That was, yeah, the perspective of looking at it as a life cycle is makes the track that much more interesting and thought-provoking, because the song, again, it starts off in kind of like an infantile state. It builds itself up around the 1.5, 2 minute mark. You get into the fully developed instrumental, and then it slowly deteriorates from there. Everything starts sounding more murky and dingy. It loses its layers. It feels like the instrumental literally gets weaker until it slowly fades out, and then you're left with 10 seconds of pure silence at the end of the track. That is beautiful musical storytelling right there. Oh my god, man, this album is like... I went into this like being fairly confident that I'd like it. I've really enjoyed the stuff I've heard from Boards of Canada so far. The early buzz around the album was great. I was like, I'm probably going to really like this. I wasn't expecting this to be like contender for album of the year for the first half of the year. Holy shit, man. This album's flown by as well. it's been what, like 45, 50 minutes of the album, and it's gone by like that. Arena Americanada. I'm not entirely sure how to say that. Yes, the McCartney chicken shop date episode. I'm probably gonna watch that later. That's so fucking hype. It's another critic out. I mean, the critics are fairly favorable to it. It's the Guardian and the arts deck that don't fuck with it, and you know who cares about the Guardian and the arts deck? Boards of mid. The Guardian's reviews are often quite mid. Yeah, 'cause it's the fucking Guardian. I can't believe the Guardian reviews are good. Ryan K demos over this. I mean, Ryan K ambient music does also slap. Should have been Boards of Scotland. Boards of Scotland doesn't have the same ring as Boards of Canada. What fucking aura? Immediately shot down, exactly. bad production never bothered you until you heard good production? Same. I've had many albums ruined for me by just hearing albums that sound good. This track to me kind of felt like a rising tension. That's kind of what I got from this one, is just a rising tension and a sense of unease as to what is about to happen. I don't understand necessarily what it is meant to be a rising tension about. I just felt that track feeling like, I don't know, a bubble expanding and expanding and expanding, and kind of that waiting for that to burst. That's kind of how that song felt to me. I maybe wish it was a little clearer what the song was meant to be about. It says Arena Americanada. Maybe it's a statement on like rising tensions in the US and starting a bunch of wars and stuff like that. Or maybe it's meant to be tensions within the US, like in terms of different political sides of the country and stuff like that. I'm not exactly 100% sure. But yeah, I think the way that track built its tension throughout was still pretty excellent. It's a high 8 for me. Would get a higher score if maybe it's just me being fucking dumb and not knowing how to interpret this album. But maybe if it was just a little clearer as to what the track was saying, it would get a bit of a higher rating, but still, it's a high 8. I still think the song sounds absolutely excellent. The Process up next. I can't rate this album until I listen to every IDM album. True.
It was once every serial after the Southeast Outlaw. We have a photo scene that fantasy the pre-coronation path. Queried him on mine there. A lecture though adapted providing me. Worldly water, or the reserve kind of mass deployed dead mirror. There. Fifth quote was to burn who interest in all his atrocities. We. Notice was quiet, although they were refreshingly piped, and a rager without her road intricately stronger. Sloppily, elite, whatever do the tilts off him, between various Grecian bishops, it should be vastly seductive from their aromatic rider and to find lest he
Getting the shit up on Genius again.
Induced him. Acoustically this plus unquestionably that, discriminating better.
W quote.
They have the madrigal, this church they rest and have directed it down our path.
Add TikTok voice to this. There's very incomplete lyrics here. It was once southeast, we have the pre-coordination path there. Atrocities, refreshing and intricately stronger, seducted from, induced and acoustically discriminating, they have the magical he must be. I could see some Godspeed in this one as well a little bit, yeah. The atmospherics here at the end particularly do kind of feel like that very dismal, apocalyptic feeling presented on an album like F.A. Infinity. I can absolutely see that. The Process, one of the more difficult to pin down pieces that we've been presented so far, mostly because the incomplete lyrics here don't really give a sense of what the fuck is going on at all. This is a train album. This is absolutely a train album. This is not only a train album, this is a plane album right here. I remember last time I was on a plane was 2022, and both times the plane took off, like going there and coming back, I listened to A Moon-Shaped Pool. And I can imagine, like to calm me down, because as I've gotten older, I've gotten more scared of flying. And I imagine this album would be able to do the same, like calm me down while the plane's taking off. Feel another high 8 on this one. Feel another high 8. Yeah, I appreciate the melancholic is a great way to describe it. The melancholic, almost like very dire apocalyptic environment that this track builds. And while maybe I wish it was a little easier to pin down, I don't really mind that I don't fully understand it, because just as an atmospheric piece, it's like a nice way to explore something that's a little more empty, a little more cold and desolate on the album. Yeah, good shit. The album has not missed so far for me, man. You retreat in time and space. Can't fucking speak, love. Jesus Christ. I can't believe we're coming up on the end of this album. This may be better than Weezer. Sorry, Weezer. This may be better than Weezer. How long is this recording? Got about an hour and a half of footage so far, and it'll probably go up to about an hour and 50. Is electronic music even real music, though? Yes. Because despite the tools being used not being actual instruments, it's still humans using a tool to create music. It's, as long as it's not AI slop. No, rap isn't real music. Rap is also real music. Weezer should go down the ambient route, though. I'd admire that. True. The only real music is the Beatles. True. Ben Shapiro said so, and he would never go on a rap song. I know. Very somber ending third of the album, absolutely. Oh. Whoa. We resort, yeah. We gotta get Boards of Canada into a re-resort game, bro. I think that this album is like such a great statement on how much variety you can get out of like ambient and electronic music. Because what the fuck do you mean this track is on the same album as Age of Capricorn or Father and Son or Naraka? You know? It has a very like post-rock-esque approach to its repetition. It knows how much it needs to repeat something to drill it into the listener's head, just how much needs to be added onto it across its repetition, and exactly when to switch to a new idea. That switch up caught me so off guard. But it's one of the most striking moments on the entire album. That, like, going into something that's so colorful, that's so quaint and at peace on an album like this, having a moment of genuine calmness and respite. And again, the word peace is kind of the perfect word to describe it. I was not expecting that at all, but it makes sense as a penultimate moment. It feels like I can only imagine this is going to be like a calm before the storm type moment, right? I imagine this final track is going to kind of bring us back to the hellscape that was the first third of the album. I absolutely adored that song. That was 5.5 minutes of absolute instrumental bliss. It felt like, in the midst of all the chaos of this album, just kind of daydreaming and letting yourself get lost in a pleasant thought for once, letting yourself, amongst all of the political madness, amongst all of the eerie depictions of religion, amongst all of the horror that this album has presented, it's a moment of just getting lost in a pleasant thought. And I think that having a moment of levity like that is really sweet. Genuinely really fucking sweet. Solid 9. Okay, here we go. Final song, I Saw Through Platonia. After 5 seconds of silence, of course. Oh, shit. Godspeed are actually from Canada, like these, not like these Scottish LARPers. Yeah. Heartbeat, is this a Pink Floyd reference? Yes. I'm gonna let the album repeat, because I want to see how this ties back into the first song. Because this kind of feels like falling back into that same depressive state that the first third of the album was sitting in. Minecraft Volume Alpha clears this? Yeah. But the thing with Minecraft Volume Alpha is that that's like, you know, one of the greatest ambient works of all time. Wow, does it actually just cut off like that? Nothing at the end. Huh. Interesting. Quite the ambiguous ending for such a vastly mystifying project, yeah. I don't fully understand what that close is meant to mean. It kind of felt like a return, again, to the kind of depressive state of the first third of the album. Maybe it's like, you know, after you have that moment of just wandering off in a daydream, it feels like being ripped back into reality and kind of being forced to grapple through everything you've grappled through throughout the album again, essentially. It feels like starting that process of being forced to look at all of the grueling realities of the world, the politics, the religion, the general feeling of unrest. Physics, Platonia reality, a concept coined by physicist Julian Barber. It describes a hypothetical, infinite, timeless landscape containing every possible configuration of the universe where time is an illusion and all moments exist simultaneously. I saw through Platonia. So I saw through all of time and space. Huh, okay. I'd give this closer a flat 9. It's a head scratcher, but a head scratcher in a good way. It's a head scratcher in that it makes me want to immediately listen to the whole fucking album again and figure it out. That's a pretty good closer right there. Yeah. That was Inferno by Boards of Canada. Hell of an introduction to this band for me, man. Hell of an introduction to this band for me. Obviously, it's not my first time ever hearing them in general. I've heard songs here and there from them, but this is my first full album from them, and I have to say, this is contender for the best album of the year so far. This is an expansive, varied, bold, ambitious project that explores so many incredibly dark themes: the state of the world, religion. It dives vaguely into addiction. There's a general like political unease to this album as well, and the way that it goes between these different styles of electronic music, IDM, progressive electronic, ambient, and it finds so much flavor in every single one of those different subgenres and makes these hour and 10 minutes go by like that, because every single song just provides such an interesting musical nugget of information. Every single song has such excellent storytelling through its instrumentals, through its vocal samples, through the way it uses its runtime and the way these tracks will cut off and transition into each other being so abrupt. I don't think it's perfect. I do think that some of that abruptness can at points leave the tracks feeling a little too brief, but on the whole, I do think this album does an excellent job at just making you feel the dread, making you feel the horror, making you feel like you are in this ever-expansing world within this album. And as it deals with these themes of religion, as it deals with these themes of politics, of addiction, of life in general, it gets increasingly hopeless without ever feeling too nihilistic, without ever feeling too pessimistic. There's enough beauty, there's enough of an understanding of things being able to get better throughout this project that it never feels like it's just, you know, doom maxing or anything like that. It feels like there is an actual maturity to the way that all of the dark themes are explored on this album, and the subtlety with which they are explored, and the way that it's all almost entirely interpretive makes for such a fascinating listen, because I guarantee if I listen to this thing again, unbroken, I will probably have completely different interpretations of these tracks, getting to hear how they flow into each other properly, experiencing the full hour and 10 minutes, just me consuming it as one large piece as opposed to track by track. I absolutely love this album. Again, the only minor complaints I have about this thing are that there are a couple of tracks that feel a little too brief. There are a couple moments that felt like they could have maybe been a bit expanded upon. But when you get an album that is as expansive, is as immersive, that flies by as quick as it does, like this, those minor nitpicks do not matter. I'm feeling a 9.4 on this, on a first listen. This is the best album of the year so far for me. 9.4. It's a very good album. Yeah, I found myself just absolutely enamored by this thing, and I cannot wait to listen to this again. I literally can't wait to listen to this thing again. I left the album and immediately was like, damn, I gotta listen to that shit again. I want to figure this out. Like, it's an album that makes me want to understand it deeper. Good shit. Very good shit. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of this album down below and how it compares to other Boards of Canada albums for you. Let me know if you'd like to see reactions to more of their albums, like Music Has the Right to Children, especially GeoGaddy as well. Like, if this video does well, I'm 100% going to be doing GeoGaddy. So yeah, definitely do let me know down below. Yeah, like and sub if you haven't. We are on our way to 5k. Links in the description to my Discord, my Album of the Year, my Twitter, my other channels, my Instagram. Check those all out if you haven't. And I will see you all whenever I next stream or upload. Bye bye.